with organization anywhere, independent, freelance, can be contracted, sub-consultants and contracted with other companies in a gig economy type of format. Professional service consultant, in the way that I'm describing it within this presentation, would be more or less someone who has a EIN number. And so they are registered with the state, have an LLC, a corporation, and have a legal structure that separates their name or separates the individual from the company. So that means that they are separate from, they have chosen a legal structure that separates them from the business. And then professional practice consultant, in the way that I'm describing it here, means some are firms that require licensure to practice that consultant area. All right, so those are the types of consultants that we kind of consider when we are doing our market research and looking at who our competitors are in our particular area of expertise. And you should also do the same. And as you begin to do your market research, you'll come up with different types of stats and different from different types of sources. For management consulting, we have that the industry is, it's not dying. It's alive, it's well, it's growing, and it will keep growing up to 18% per year, and that's good news. Revenues reported internationally, nationally, and locally. We're able to find stats in that range to see where we line up, so a new entry consultant, 65,000, a local business, if you just have one, you're locally regional, got one location, 250,000, you enter a franchise, or a national or international franchise where there's multiple locations, you may be competing with the franchise that's making 250,000 to 1 million in that location, but that they are balancing that over 5, 8 locations, so you could put it in perspective or put it into context and everything, because that is different. There's a difference in the working capital and the resources that comes from a national, international franchise versus a same competitor that just has one location, right? And so you can use that in your market research and be able to put those things, those variations of competitors as you move into, say, hey, you want to move into an international market, then that's a different benchmark. It's a benchmark, different benchmark in resources, different benchmark in revenue. And so you want to have a system to doing your market research when you go into a new region, you change location, you change services or products, or you having difficulty in any of your plans. If you're having some kind of difficulty, you want to engage in some kind of market research to get more information within that area. All right, and so this is some of the different types of consultants within, those different areas that I mentioned: operations consultant, marketing, PR consultant, and all of these individuals, the way that our business infrastructure is set up, can be sub-consultants to in our service. So and I'll talk about that a little bit later. But these are single service consultants, so they offer a advice or advisement. It may be coaching, it may be implementation, or it may be as a third-party consultant where they actually come in and conduct that particular service, or conduct that particular or operate in that particular area within the business where they're you're outsourcing all your operations to them, or outsourcing on your marketing PR to them. So the scope of work will vary depending upon contract and the consultant, um, what they decided, the types of services and the scope of work that they're going to offer. Okay. And so when we get into competencies for operations, and we're updating this, we've actually updated some of the way that we look at competencies in the last 6 months. And so these types of activities, especially post-pandemic, where the market is volatile and it's very, there's a lot of uncertainty. You're doing a lot of updates, updates quarterly, annually, monthly, just because of the way the market is moving at the moment. But we always can break some of the operations down into these 4 areas within the firm. There or within a entity, there has to be someone who's going to get the work, right? So you have a marketing plan, a marketing and sales plan or strategy, and it all centers around getting work, creating that sales funnel and those client relationships. How are you going to manage once you're, lots of networking lots of events. Small businesses go here, small businesses go there, small businesses learn this, small businesses learn that, and there's lots of resources for the small business owner or manager, or if you're a nonprofit and you're administrating in some sense, and you're trying to get skilled in areas of marketing and sales. But as you begin to implement it and apply that to the way that you get work, it will differ, depending on what your service is, what your product is, and who your target market is, right? You have to know everyone isn't your customer, and every resource is not going to hone in to how you need to attract your target market. So you'll have to be keen in zoning in on those marketing and sales strategies that attract your target market. Like, for instance, our target market is uh, um, uh, procurement, procurement managers for school districts or for municipalities. And so they probably will not be at the networking event for startups, probably not. But they might be at a Chamber of Commerce meeting, or they might show up at one of the uh, industry fairs or something like that to meet them. So the marketing strategy and the sales strategy has to be very in the system, this, because the sales funnel is a system. When I meet them, then what happens next, and after that, until you get the sale, until uh, the service is complete. And so how you get the work, and the distribution of content is dependent upon who your target market is. So make sure you're honing in on that. And then number 2 is oversight of the work. So once you get the work, you got the client, you're building a great rapport. There are you begin to deliver service. So 2 and 3 kind of go together, because you, as an owner, are you producing the work and overseeing the work, or do you have a team that produces the work, and you just have some of the oversight of that. Oversight of that means I'm just going to look, I have checklists or systems for quality control, for budget control, for client relations. This is how we interact with the client. For us, we are the single point of contact, meaning that within our team, even if we have sub-consultants, subcontractors, or within the project team, internal or external individuals, we have a single point of contact for every project. So that client is only contacting one person on that project and not talking to 5 different people with 5 different agendas and 5 different questions. They're only talking to one person, a single point of contact that has been designated for that particular project, to filter all of their client questions through. That way they get the final and consistent answer, right? And so you'll have to decide that in the stream, in the delivery of your service, of your product, who's overseeing the work, how do I control quality, budget, how we relate to our clients, so we don't have clients that are, and maybe you're not the person to to relate to the client. Maybe you have somebody else who can talk to them a little bit better than you can, and maybe they should be designated to being the client cheerleader and making sure all their needs are serviced, if you don't have the emotional intelligence and temperament for that. And then controlling schedule. And then that's coupled with producing the work. What does the deliverables look like when we talk about quality control? Like, this is a draft. This is not final. This is not what we deliver to the client. What does the final deliverable look like? What did we say we were going to do in the contract? The contract is a type of capability statement. In government contracting, that term is called capability statement, but it's basically saying these are the services that we provide and we deliver. And you'll have a lot of competitors who have that same capability statement. They say we could deliver that too, but that final deliverable, what the client gets, from you and a competitor, it's going to be different because you're just different companies, you're different people and stuff like that. And so you have to decide what that looks like and what that means. And when you sign a contract with the client, making sure that that contract outlines what that deliverable is and what the scope of work is for that particular fee structure or pricing structure that you've outlined in the contract. Lots of time, and that's why we do the single point of contact. You may within that system to produce work, they have a thing called scope creep, and scope creep comes in when you are talking to a team member who didn't sign the contract with you, and they begin to offer more services without contract or without a fee structure and all those types of things. And then once we get to deliver, we're like, wait a minute, this doesn't look like the statement that we said we were capable of, or the scope of work that we said we were going to do for in scope of work that we agreed upon per the contract. And so number 4 balances 3 and 2, in that when we talk about finance the work, every project, we have the motto, every project must pay for itself. So that means the fee structure, the pricing structure, and the profit margins are considered during contract negotiation, not afterward. We have an idea of what type of team it's going to take, and the cost of that team, all of the resources, and billing the budget for a project of that type, and all of that is negotiated at contract. And so once we have the team, once we have the contract, we have an idea of the quality, the budget, the schedule, how long it's going to take, and the team that it's going to take, and what the deliverable is going to look like based upon the statements we've made in the scope of work we've outlined in the contract. And so this is kind of simplified kind of simplified the way that the 5 plans of a business operation work. However, uh, keeping in mind that each one of these works as a unit. Like we said, system thinking, they work singly as a unit, but they also interact with each other in a way that one is dependent upon the other as a whole. So they work individually and then as a whole. And that's the dynamics of system thinking. Okay. And then so professionally, competencies on a professional level, when you're looking at talent. And so this is talent acquisition, talent retention, or acquiring a different talent for a particular project. It's based on what are the skill sets that we need to actually deliver on that capability statement, or to deliver a particular service or a product. And you may have to bring some talent or skill sets or different credentials in, or experience in. And the way that we've structured our teams, and structured the business, is that we are able to um, uh, um, develop our project teams based upon the service that we're delivering, but we can bring in talent, and we can um, uh, uh, so that our operational cost matches um, the client load. Our infrastructure, we can uh, get large and we can get small. So we can we can get big and we can get small in a way that maintains sustainability and longevity of the firm. But the skill sets are, what skill sets are crucial to producing that said work? What credentials are crucial? What experience and what are those talents? And we have, through the managing members and the advisory board, we continue to add on to that to make sure that we have the latest and the greatest as industries are being developed, are being disrupted. I guess is the word, being disrupted, and changing the way that they do business, or changing the way that their service is being perceived, that we are in tune with that, so that we don't become irrelevant uh, within the incompetency professionally or operationally. And so our project management process map, the system that we have adopted, project management has went mainstream. When someone says project management, you think of those industry certifications and industry designations that are very popular nationally as well as internationally. We have taken a different approach to our project management process map and framework, in that what we had found in acquiring project management talent is that project management went, the term project manager went mainstream, so that you can have a project manager in multimedia, you can have a project manager in design, a project manager in construction, project managers that are in tech industry, project managers as in educational, and all of them had a different scope of work that they're able to manage, right? And so our project management process takes into consideration industry and industry knowledge and trade. So in that process, the system is, of course, you have the capability statement, you determine the scope of work, Then the team huddle, as you get the competencies, you gather those necessary resources, human capital resources for the team for that scope of work. And then we conduct our service through a process map. So we've mapped out all the work that are and the mapped out how the work will get done for all the services that we deliver. At least we try to. And through that process map composes these systems and tools that assist a process to be implemented by the team according to that scope of work. Right. So that's why it's kind of a little build up to get to the systems. So what systems and tools will assist in getting the work done? And then of that process map, what team is required to that would have the capabilities or the competencies to be able to see that work through to service delivery. And so this process map framework is a little bit different. If you look up project manager, it will give you a process map or a framework, and you'll find that this one is a bit different than that, which is a more mainstream. Okay. Oh, and I think this is it. This is the mainstream framework where it just talks about initiation. You initiate, define the work, you perform the work, you deliver the work, you finish the work. What's different with ours is that we define what work that what that work is. What is the if I hire a project manager that does only multimedia and I put them on my design projects, they can't perform the work. I can define the work, but they won't be able to perform the work or deliver work or finish that work because that's not the type of work that they do. And so that's the kind of differentiation we had to make when defining or composing job descriptions and defining the work for our project managers. Okay, and so systems and tools, owner, managers, administrators. Talk about owners. I'm thinking about individuals. They can be sole proprietors or a LLC, multi-member owner, corporate owner, manager that you're managing business on behalf of owner. They've delegated, they stepped away from the business, or maybe they are part of the business, but they have put you in a management role and you're managing maybe a division, you maybe a project or managing some portion of operations. And then administration here talks more of government, nonprofits. This is individuals who oversee a entity where they have to have a committee input. May it be Board of Education or City Council, or it might be a membership of some kind. Excuse me, where these members have some kind of voting interest, and you have to have some kind of permission per se, from that membership. Okay, so when I talk about owner, managers, administrators, I'm thinking of their job descriptions in that way, or their roles in that way. Okay, so systems and tools. These are different categories. We consider categories of systems and tools. Your technology, hardware, and software. The systems and tools for a particular design project, and when it comes to technology, hardware, and software, may be different for construction, or it will be different for even software projects. Finding some of the hardware and tech and software that I would use for implementing software development may be more heavy duty than that of design, which is pretty heavy duty and different than construction. And so kind of understanding the work helps you to define, if you got, lots of small business owners have rapport with other small business owners, but it's also important to understand that if they're using X, Y, and Z in terms of technology, hardware, and software, you'll have to test and prove that that would work for your service and product, because it may not be applicable because you're in a different industry. You may need to be using this tech and this hardware and software. And so use your help desk, use your vendors and your suppliers as experts to get all the do that market research, get all the information you can about the tech, the hardware, and the software that you might want to use or that you're considering, so that you can compare them and do a benefits analysis, cost benefits analysis to see what's going to be best suited for you to implement and help get the work done, right? And since some of that technology, hardware and software, when people see it and they're like, oh, they might even get you some work. They're like, okay, yeah, you're up on it and you're using the latest and greatest. We understand this. And so other systems and tools are communication vehicles. How are you going to communicate? When we talk about social media and in previous, we talked about marketing and sales plan and strategy. All the social media platforms may not be for your particular business. You want to have the communication vehicles that your target market is accustomed to. Everyone had to jump on Zoom. And so uh, those communication vehicles are important to connecting with your target market where they are. And so if they're on LinkedIn, then that's where you should post that particular content. That's where you should just distribute content. Maybe it's not on TikTok unless your demographic is there. If your demographic is not there, it may be fun to do, but your demographic would never see it. Your target market would never see it. And you're having fun and you got lots of followers, but none of them who are following, and none of the followers are going to purchase or going to buy because the service is geared towards X, Y, and Z. Here is owners, managers, administrators. My owners and managers and administrators aren't on that platform, then it's a waste of money to spend there. It's a waste of time to be there. It's a waste of content to distribute there. And so your communication vehicles should be efficient to conducting your teams, based on your project teams, based on your industry, based on where your target market is and how your client, and this goes for client relationship managers as well. Do they receive it by email or direct mail? Is phone call still better, or are they on the text message end of things? And so exploring that, and even sometimes surveying that. If you don't know, then survey your different target markets where they may be, so that you can find out how would you like for me to communicate with you. It's kind of funny. I being on a international platform, WhatsApp, or I guess WhatsApp, lots of international communities use that. And so I'm like Zoom and I'm texting on our other different things. But now I'm considering that because I'm like, okay, if I want to interact on an international level, I have to engage other type of communication vehicles, maybe even different types of technology, hardware and software, right? And so the third icon here is standards, procedures, and handbooks. We have did 4 books where that act as some of our manuals, handbooks, and we have standards in terms of our process maps, how to conduct a particular project. And that goes hand in hand with a system for training and professional development. So our handbooks, we have an initiative called Buy the Book, Take the Class, um, and join the discussions. And at the end of that process, you can get a certificate for a particular area of management. And what the initiative tries to encourage is hand-on-hand gaining knowledge of how we do business, coupled with improving improving your own professional development and making it an interactive type of activity, so that you have this benefit that is transferable anywhere that you might go. And so our particular initiative is in the form of, books. It's written, our standards are written, the procedures are written, the handbooks are written. And then the training is more flexible. And so you can go take it at your own time frame, just look at the videos, and then you can engage in questions and discussions on social media with a continuous stream of different industry subject matter that is in real time, being discussed in real time. And so it's flexible in that way. And so the last three systems that I'll go through is just culture, team, building, and spatial relationships. And so the culture, of course, will evolve from owners, founders, management. You set the stage, but as you bring folks on, they will contribute to the culture, whether it's positive or negative. And you have to counter that with, okay, this is our vision, this is our mission. And that goes hand with the leadership direction and responsibility, because you're accountable for the firm. If it goes awry, you have to reset and say, okay, this is our vision, this is the mission, this is how we're doing things, giving direction to folks as they come on and join the team and join the culture, this infrastructure that you've built, and making it enjoyable, as we get into remote work and all different types of being mobile activity. Now it's becomes more important to provide formal leadership that gives direction, but gives individuals some flexibility and independence to work as a team and then do work as an individual, and that to be comparable when they come back to the team. You're able to meet your schedule, meet budget, and meet service delivery demands. And so sustainability, maintenance, and retention, the building systems become the means by the way you are able to be sustainable, to maintain operation and retention of clients, retention of team members, individuals who have bought into the vision. These systems and tools work individually and then together. And there's some things that you can do this in terms of sustainability, maintenance, and retention to enhance that capacity in all the other areas, right? And so for us, to make sure that we're able to maintain, to retain, and to be sustainable, we built this infrastructure we call it the 10 core. The 10 core assessments and 10 core service. We provide that service. We also use that service to make sure that we are constantly improving and challenging ourselves to be better. And we share our results. So you'll see sometimes on the YouTube page, you're like, hey, we're working on this or whatever, and this is where we are. So that other owners that come up and they say, hey, we're working on that too. How are you doing? And so they can actually see in real time that we're working on something and that we're trying to figure it out, right? And so we're forever I guess what do you call a learning organization or a learning organization as well. And so I do a lot of social listening. Social listening is I look at my competitors and I'm looking at different consulting groups. I look at different consulting videos and consulting organizations. And so I do a lot of social listening to see what other people are or other organizations and other resources are saying about a particular subject. We have an ongoing working through our human capital area, which is core two in the 10 core. And so we listen to a lot of folks who are in that region and hear what they're talking about, listen to their podcast. And so we do a lot of social listening and then get a consensus of thought, right? Get a consensus of thought, and then we make a decision on how we're going to proceed in that particular area. But very beneficial to know, some of the industry norms, see what some of the industry conversations are in a particular subject, get a consensus of thought of, what what the flip sides of the coins are, and then begin to construct how we would proceed. And so that is our session on system thinking in regards to putting in business infrastructures in place so that you're able to operate a business based upon a set of systems that work individually and as a whole, and to look at them, improve them individually so that they come back to the whole, improving your overall operation or your overall delivery of a project or your overall efficiency of a team. So it can be interchangeably used in those different areas. This is my contact information. If you like to reach out and continue this conversation or to learn more, you can reach us at our website and phone number here, or you can reach out by email. We'd love to hear from you. We are also on social media. Our Twitter handle is Urbane Tectonics. It's the same for Facebook as well as LinkedIn. You add that LLC on there in any one of those cases. But if you want to connect with us on any of those social media platforms, we have industry specific social media handles for each one of the industries to which we serve. We have 12 industries to which we are have our have tipped our little toes in. And so if you are in a particular industry to which we serve, there you can follow Urbane Tectonics. Also Power of Next, hashtag Power of Next, POWEROFNEXT. And that will give you other Twitter handles that are specific to an industry, whether it be design or construction or multimedia or technology. And so our management consulting firms has 12 different divisions in different industries. So we get a little bit more specific in those areas of expertise.
Thank you, Tanisha, for sharing these insightful workshop. I really love the way you mentioned about client interaction and also the right social media based on what services we offer. So, yeah, let's open for any questions.
Sure.
The audience.
Anybody has any questions for me? Would love to take a stab at answering those for you. Don't be shy and turn your mic on. Are you able to turn your mic on? Well, if you have any questions after today, you can feel free to reach out. As I indicated, hashtag Power of Next. You can reach out there or by email at information@urbanetek2.com. I get questions there all the time. So,
yeah.
And do you have any questions, Robbie?
Yeah, I don't have any questions, honestly. So yeah, it
Okay.
was a wonderful session. So yeah, and lovely presentation. I think yeah, not only about the slides, but the way you've presented them. So really good. Thank you for
Thank
doing
you.
this.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I am always interested in getting in front of business community, educational communities, the community at large. And you have an international platform to be able to share, share what we've learned, and to pass that knowledge on to other owners. They're applicable wherever you're doing business. So I'm glad I was able um, uh, to be able to share.
Yeah. So yeah, if there are no further questions, yeah, let's conclude this wonderful session.
Okay.
Feel free to reach out to our YouTube channel if you want to, have a glimpse of recording of what you've missed, if in case. And yeah, feel free to get in touch with Tanisha for any of the services or any questions you might have. So thank you, Tanisha, for being here.
Yeah.
Have a
Thank
wonderful.
you. Thank you.
Thank you all.